Thank you so much, Congressman McDermott. Thank you so much. And we're happy to see a legislator like you in this key position on this committee because, well, before the Democrats took the majority, the last committee chair was not as enlightened and supportive as you. Don't forget to vote, exactly. Thank you. You know, and just to follow up on something the Congressman said, in California in 2003, the first wave of families started hitting their 5-year lifetime limit on welfare. And Lifetime went to a county hearing to see what the county was planning to do to help folks extend that time limit if needed, because we knew a lot of parents had disabilities and domestic violence, and they had collected child support for their families and hadn't added that time back in, and learned that the majority of parents in our county who hit that 5-year limit were working. They were working and playing by the rules. 83% of parents in Alameda County. The high was Santa Clara County. 90% of parents in Santa Clara County who hit their 5-year limit on welfare were working and playing by the rules. And largely Asian immigrant and refugee parents, working hard, playing by the rules, stuck in those low-wage, dead-end jobs. And the other thing that surprised us was 55% of them were in 2-parent families. And I said, what does this mean when having a husband and a job isn't enough to get you off welfare, let alone out of poverty? So keep that in mind with the reauthorization, and please, everyone, talk to your congressional representatives and urge them to take measures that will end poverty under TANF reauthorization this year and not welfare. So I'm going to stop talking because the next speaker, Brenda Beal from Community Voices Heard in New York, she's the one you want to hear from.
Don't say that. I came prepared. Good morning. My name is Brenda Beal, mother of 3 sons, 2 of which has their masters and 8 grandchildren. I have been a leader at Community Voices Heard for over 2 years, and I am presently on welfare and workforce campaign making changes to end unpaid workfare, known in New York City as Work Experience Program, or WEP, but I call it by its real name, slave labor. I used to work for an interior decorator in a privately owned shop. When my boss passed away, I lost my job and got on unemployment benefits. While I was on unemployment, I looked for a job, but I couldn't find one. I exhausted all my benefits and all of my savings. I was facing an eviction and in and out of court for 3 months in the city of New York. And the city of New York would not pay my back rent. They would only give me $215 a month, even though my rent was $836 a month. You see, I had been in my apartment for 27 years. I lost everything I owned, and you can imagine 27 years of accumulation. And all of my pictures, all of my photos, something you can't never replace. I was too scared to go into the shelter, hearing too many horror stories about what happens in the shelter. So I stayed with friends and my son, and I just moved from house to house until finally I had to make a decision. So I went into the shelter in 2006, which was not as bad as I thought it would be. And I applied for public assistance for the first time in my life. I soon found out that welfare was the horror story, not the shelter. My cash grant was $68.50 every 2 weeks. But because I lived in a shelter, part of my grant went to the shelter. I guess it was for rent or whatever. After their deduction, I received $22.50 every 2 weeks. I had to use this money to pay for toiletries, carpet, and whatever else I needed. I did receive full food stamps, although the shelter fed us 3 times a day, So try and figure that one out. I was required to work 20 hours a week. This is known as workfare, web, and once again, slave labor. I was also required to spend another 15 hours a week at a vendor site where I sat all day doing nothing. We were supposed to do our resumes and job search, whatever activities they told us to, but none of this helped me find a job. For my web assignment, I was a teacher's aide at a Catholic school where I did everything the teachers did, such as reading to the students and teaching basic math and reading skills. When the teachers did not come in, I had to be a substitute teacher, doing the exact same work and sometimes more than the teachers. Excuse me. There was one catch. They went home with a paycheck, and I didn't. All I had was that $22.50 for every 2 weeks. Workfare is degrading. You lose your self-esteem, your dignity. Doing a web assignment, I know I did a damn good job, but I can't put that on a resume because it wasn't a paying job. There is also a stigma with welfare. It's a shame that you don't want people to know you are on public assistance. I have worked all my life. I was able to bring a paycheck home every week. On welfare, I was faced with a job where I know I did well, but I wasn't getting a paycheck. Workfare does not help people move into real jobs because there is no training and no education. And many of us do not get web assignments in our career choice. Web is a joke. When I came to CVH, I heard the same horror stories about web. We fight together for change. We need career ladder training programs that focus on career of our choice and allow us to get the education and training we need to enter the workforce. We also need transitional jobs, which put people in jobs, an hourly wage. It helps you towards getting back on your feet. Since I've been at CVH, we won millions of dollars for career pathways and transitional jobs. Some of CVH leaders have moved from public assistance to full-time employment because of Transitional Jobs Program, and I'm proud to be a part of this. When I look around at today's economic crisis, I think to myself that people do not realize what welfare is and what happens to people in the system. We are the faces of poverty. And I can only sum up it up in 6 words. One day, it could be you. And in my 63 years, I never knew what the word struggle meant. I do now. So don't close your doors on us, please. Thank you.